better than us.
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Of course, we're teaming up with Beehive Meals, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest, and listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, big trade for the Jazz yesterday. How should the Jazz use Jaren Jackson Jr.?
I think you were right on when you were talking about how he's not kind of your traditional big that I think a lot of people think of, especially when you see, a career average of over 2 blocks a game and having one defensive player of the year. I suspect offensively he's going to be a little bit stripped down. I mean, he averages close to 20 points a game for his career. I think you're going to see a lot of three-point shooting. I think that's going to be his role. I think he's going to be a big-time floor spacer next to Lowry Markkanen, and I think those two are going to feed off of each other. And that will open up driving lanes for Lowry. It'll open up lanes for Keontae George. And when he's on the floor with Walker Kessler, which I think there's going to be some growing pains there, Walker will have more room to operate as a lob threat, pick and roll guy, etc.
I hope that the ball movement style continues. I expect that too. And if that's the case, I don't know if he is just stand in the corner and shoot threes guy.
No, I don't think I don't think he's standing in the corner at all. I think he's up above the above the free throw line.
I might be underutilizing him a bit. I think what Lowry's put into his game this year by the dribble drive, not the stand at the nail and create, but the either shoot it or don't. And when you don't, you go directly to the basket, and you have the spacing to do so. In theory, I think has been a big part to his game. I don't understand I would guess that Jaren Jackson Jr. could have some similar success. Again, if you're expecting a player that's just going to stand in there with his back to the basket, that's not who he is and not how it works. So he's taking 5 threes a game right now. I don't know how much up or down that really goes. That's a pretty good number for him.
Yeah, it's a really great number. I'm not sure he can go way more than that. There is kind of a cap for some guys. But as a 35% career three-point shooter, it's exactly where he is this year. It's what he is for his career. The Jazz certainly won't be afraid of letting him do that.
I don't think the Jazz would be disappointed if he took a bite out of Lowry or Keontae.
You don't think they would be disappointed?
No.
I think the key is going to be keeping them where they need to be offensively. Where they have been
I don't
year.
think either Lowry or Key need to be 27 a point a night scores.
I think there's a real chance in the next few years Keontae's up to 30 points a game. And I know that sounds like a really hot take, but that's what guards that do what Keontae is doing, that's where they seem to get to.
Yeah, but those guards stink. So I hope he doesn't go that way, because then he's playing like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, and I know we're going to get to that, and I don't think that's winning basketball. So I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that Will Hardy hopes that happens. He's not the best player on the team. Why would you want him to score 30 points a game?
I think that's a fine argument. I do think when you look at what Tyrese Maxey is doing this year for the Philadelphia 76ers, that is kind of where the league is trending. Shea's doing the same thing. We are much more in a spot where guards score huge numbers. You have one player who scores huge numbers. Maybe it ends up being Lowry, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe everyone drops back down to 23, 24 points a game, and Jaren does take a little bit of a bite out of that. I would be curious if the Jazz let that happen. I suspect if somebody's going to have to sacrifice offense, it's going to be Jaren. But I could be wrong.
If you were to ask Will Hardy if he could have 3 players scoring 23 points a game, he'd tell you absolutely
Surely.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And I think that's how they want to play. I think they want to spread it out and move it around. I don't think they want to gum it up with, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know if they want Keontae as a 30-point high-usage guy.
And he may not need to now with Jaren. Now you have a legitimate third scorer. The Jazz do not have, prior to the trade yesterday, the Jazz didn't have a legitimate number 3 scorer. Every once in a while, Bryce Sensabaugh would step up and score 20. I think he had it last night. John Collins last year was able to do it a little bit, or Colin Sexton was able to do it a little bit. But Yeah, it's going to be Lowry. It's going to be Keontae. And if Jaren can do it and justify doing it with a lot of touches and it doesn't hurt the offense, I'm sure they'll let him.
Who's next? Or what's next?
Number 2, Donovan Mitchell is a new best friend in Cleveland.
Speaking of a guy who will no longer average 30 points a game, Donovan Mitchell, who has been right up around that number, is going to see a big chunk taken out of his offense because you can't move James Harden off the ball. James Harden is an on-the-ball scorer and distributor and is a system unto his own.
It's so funny what unintelligent franchises do because they feel backed into a corner or whatever. This falls right into the problem of ball-dominant guards. Who do you put next to him? Who do you put next to? Who's the perfect player to put next to Luka? Somebody that doesn't.
Somebody who never touches the ball.
So doesn't like playing basketball.
Yeah.
So it's funny to me that, and we've talked about this for years. The Cleveland thing never made sense to us, and I don't mean to speak for you. Feel free to disagree, but that the Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, there was a ton of overlap there. So if 2 of your 3 best players, arguably, are going to be basically the same player, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Speaking of James Harden, it didn't make sense when they tried to pair him with Rusty or Chris Paul or any of these other players that don't want to stand there and watch him play basketball. So the solution to the overlap, which is their problem, is to trade for somebody that overlaps even more.
More so.
Okay, here's our problem. Let's trade for an even bigger but the same problem. What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He's going to take a bite out of Donovan, and you know what? Donovan's going to take a bite out of him too. Because Donovan's not the type of person who's going to take it laying down. We saw Donovan demand the ball in the fourth quarter every single game, even though he really sucked at it. I don't expect that to change. This move makes so no sense at all. It's got to be clutch generated. There's got to be something else.
I told you, LeBron's trying to get back to Cleveland.
James Harden didn't even fat his way out of the Clippers. He just randomly one day was like, yeah, I don't want to be here. Even though the team is totally on the come.
I'm leaving and Cleveland's okay with me coming to their team. And that's just going to be the deal. And everyone was like,
wait, what?
Okay, you're just like on the plane by yourself? You flew there? You bought your own ticket?
Did you see people on Twitter ranking James Harden's exits? Like fatting his way out of Houston.
Yeah.
Another popular one is telling the Chinese kids that Daryl Morey is a liar and he's never going to play for them again.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, incredible.
Well, what it is, and you've said this a lot, and you're exactly right, is it's desperation from Cleveland. And it's the desperation the Jazz were looking to avoid with Donovan Mitchell if they got to this point with him. Now, Cleveland has probably gotten more out of Donovan than I expected. They haven't gone farther in the playoffs than I expected. They're still only a second-round exit team. And I don't think they're done before tomorrow's trade deadline because this team, as is not closer to winning a title than they were before they added James Harden. James Harden does not win in the playoffs. He's never won in the playoffs. He's a good regular season player. You didn't just trade for James Harden for 30 games, though. You know, you are trying to open up stuff next season.
They're going to extend him.
They're going to give him an extension, which is
crazy,
insane at this point. But it's desperate, and that's what desperate teams do. I do love that last year the big conversation about Donovan Mitchell was that he was doing less, and they were getting more because he was finally doing less, and that lasted 71 games,
10 minutes.
And then this year he's back to 28.8 points a game.
Because that's his reaction to falling short in the playoffs. Like, well, if it's going to be about me, it's going to be all about me. You know, I guess I don't blame him in a weird way, except for he's just not good enough to do that. Well, he's not good enough to play that way. And you know what? Neither is James Harden. Right. Even at his peak, he was not good enough to play that way.
Donovan's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. He has had one flaw. Well, he's had a couple of flaws. But his main flaw is he is a point guard that continues to play shooting guard throughout his career. Over and over and over. And James Harden is not an off-the-ball player. So who is playing shooting guard in that rotation now? It's going to be Donovan Mitchell. He is off the ball, and he is too little, and he's bad defensively. And who's one of the worst defensive guards in NBA history? James Harden. I don't. And I get it. Look, Darius Garland, that wasn't going to work out. It wasn't going anywhere. He's always hurt now. There's some real issues with Darius Garland. I get why the Cavs did it today. What I don't get is why 2 years ago, when Darius Garland was coming off of an All-Star game, were they not shopping him to get the big wing that everybody has always known Donovan Mitchell needs next to him? I don't understand that. You said it in the first segment. What is the NBA now? 1 guard, 3 wings, 1 big. That's it. It's really not hard to draw up a basketball team. And they stuck to 2 undersized point guards for years wasting the prime of Donovan Mitchell's run in Cleveland. It's just raw mismanagement. It's so bizarre. He tried to fix it with DeAndre Hunter, who's not a very good player. It's really bad, and now they've painted themselves in this corner, and I won't be surprised at all if they are very, very, very seriously talking about trading Donovan Mitchell this summer.
What's next?
Number 3, the Mammoth play their last game before the Olympic break tonight.
3 weeks off after tonight as they get ready to head to Italy, or 4 of the players get ready to head to Italy, but they will host the Detroit Red Wings tonight.
Do you think some of these lunatic hockey players are going to go back to their homes where it's even colder than it is here?
Yeah.
Whereas like NBA players seem to go
The warmest spot.
Warmest spot that they could find.
Yeah, a lot of these guys go back to Canada.
Yeah, you're
Sure.
right. I mean, Scotty G was just in Canada. I'm sure he could tell you how the weather is.
Yeah,
I feel bad for him in a way.
I'm sure some dudes are like, finally, back to Pittsburgh.
I mean, Salt
wait.
Lake's been quite pleasant this winter.
55 every day.
Going back up to Minneapolis or whatever, where I wonder, we'd have to look where the most, what am I looking for?
Vancouver.
Clustered
Toronto,
home of
Vancouver.
Mammoth players are.
Mammoth? Probably is still like Toronto. It's probably Toronto.
I mean, somebody's probably flying back to Russia.
Yeah.
It's cold. I guess the hockey players are just built differently.
That's how they're built.
They look at people that go to like Fiji and they're like, softies. It is crazy, though. 3 weeks is a long time in the world of professional sports.
That's a true.
It's like another off season.
It's not an off season, but yeah, it's right there. I mean, that's a training camp, and you're not playing the whole time. I mean, these guys will find a way to stay in shape, and I'm sure the Mammoth have a big, plan for all these guys on how to stay on the ice and how much practice time you need to be getting. And some of them are just going to be playing in the Olympics, 4 of them, like I said. But yeah, it's a crazy toll.
Not to be Debbie Downer, but they're kind of on a roll. I mean, they got to figure out a way to keep it going through 3 weeks. That's an eternity.
I do think the nice thing is they started the season relatively well. They got into that 7-game or 8-game win streak pretty early in the year, so you hope they have the ability to restart quickly.
All right, Ben. I've got a musical project that's coming up next. I'm very excited about it. It might be my favorite one that I've done, although, new kid kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure,
it's
yeah,
always
right.
Your the thing you just finished is your favorite, so
Yeah.
maybe it falls flat. But I think it's pretty good.
I'm excited to hear
and
it.
also might be part of an overall bigger project.
Okay.
All right. Stay tuned. We've got that coming up next. Mike Smith at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. What you got Wednesday at 11:30 is Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.